I have the joy and excitement of coming to you today to present the new customer insights. So we all may be familiar with Dynamics Marketing, or some of us may have been familiar with Dynamics Marketing. It's been around for a couple of years now, and there used to be a separate tool called Customer Insights, which was one of those weird ones where you kind of needed it to do advanced segmentation. So it kind of felt a bit bizarre that there were two separate tools. The good news now is the light has been seen, and we're now merging them into a single tool. So there's two real huge benefits here. If you've been a marketing customer, you now have access to customer insights and a lot more rich segmentation functionality and 360-degree view of the customer. And if you've traditionally been running with customer insights, you now get marketing built in for free. So I know a couple of customers that have won on both sides of the fence, but it's a huge win because no longer do we need double licensing. But we kind of jump straight into it. My name's Michael Biggs, Principal Consultant at Fusion 5. I've been doing Dynamics and CRM for the last 18 years and been doing digital marketing automation for about 11 of those 18. So what we're going to cover off today is what is Customer Insights, aka the new real-time Dynamics Marketing? What's the transition plan? I wanted to really focus on those users who potentially have Dynamics Marketing right at the moment. There's some real key gotchas that it's important to know. Covering a little bit the buzzword at the moment, Copilot. You would have seen in the keynote, there were some limitations around the language in New Zealand date time formats. So what I'll be showing you today is the cool stuff that's usable and talking about the stuff that will get better as time goes on. And then depending on how long we get, I then want to just kind of cover off some of the core functionality, but more importantly, I want to cover off the limitations. Because you can go online, you can find all the Microsoft demos about marketing you want, but sometimes it's about that knowledge from someone who's implemented a few times to be able to come through and go, it doesn't do this, it does do this, it doesn't do that. So I'm going to kind of cover those off from those four areas. So let's start first. Customer Insights, bringing customer data alongside Dynamics marketing functionality. Michael Biggs, 2023. So what is Customer Insights? So this is what we've known as previously. It's this beautiful central view of your data, being able to pull in all your other data sources, whether it be internal or external, connect up to social, leading into this beautiful 360-degree view of your customer. And that's where the real benefit of it now being merged with marketing is that 360-degree view now has all those marketing components, and it really is a true 360-degree view across all components. When you access Customer Insights for the first time now, you get presented with a bit of an option. You can either go down the data side on the left-hand side there, or you can go down the journey side on the right-hand side. At this stage, two completely different user interfaces. You can't transition between the two through one app. So if you want to use data and journeys, you do need to have them in two separate tabs. If you've never seen Dynamic Customer Insights before, this is the sort of one page that you kind of get to give you that better view of that customer. And as you can see, it kind of brings in all the other components, all the case view, how many cases they've been running, any sort of shipment they've been doing. It really does provide that really rich 360 view of the customer. So if you've only ever had marketing and your organization is really keen to go down this route, Customer Insights is a really useful tool and is really powerful at joining all those customer data sources. And then for those of you familiar, when it comes to the journey side, decided to throw up a journey image because it's in the name. It's all about customer journeys, right? So it's about building those step-by-step journeys, repeatable actions. So what is it in terms of the journey side? As I said, it's a rebranding of Dynamics Marketing. It's part of the Customer Insights tool. As I said, slightly disjointed at the moment because there's two interfaces, but it will be merged, I know, eventually. Really important, it's that multi-channel communication. And the other part is not only multi-channel, but multiple data sources. It covers off a lot around that journey piece. As I said, it's in the name. For anyone that doesn't know these random set of characters, it's WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get. So that means drag and drop editors, nice and easy. And I think one of the really strong points that now is coming out is that consenting layer that Microsoft have now added on top of real-time marketing, including the ability to use topics and purpose filtering. So it's really, really quite powerful. But in terms of probably the million-dollar question, and I'm getting this a lot, Mike, we're on Dynamics Marketing, we're using a lot of outbound functionality because it's really cool and it's complete. How do we transition to real-time marketing? And this is one of those really fun ones where there's this beautiful diagram. I think we've all dealt with the whole slow change, one step in front of the other, walk before you run. That is the messaging I'm going to give you. Don't try and tackle this all in one go. Pick components and move those and get comfortable with those components before you move on to the next one. So very much outbound is not being turned off. It's just not getting the love it needs going forward to be maintained as a product. So it will be gone eventually. So it's in your best interest to slowly move across to real time. The big caveat that a couple of you on the call will probably know about this, I don't think it's quite ready to only live in real time. So for the moment, there are a few limitations I'm going to be covering off that if you want to go to real-time marketing and customer insights journey, just be aware there's a few gotchas. So if you're a new organization, and so let's just say you spin up an environment tomorrow, you will no longer have outbound marketing. It's just not an option. You don't see any of the components. I'll cover off some of the things we lose as a result of that. If you're a new customer, let's just say you've been going down the marketing journey and you're about to implement it, don't worry, you can raise support tickets and request it to be added by Microsoft. So if you're already down the journey and you're about to implement it and all of a sudden they brought this change out, don't worry, you are protected. So in terms of transitional planning, it's really important that we understand what are those different components and what are the things we don't have in the new world. And I think that's probably the message I'm going to sort of start coming from today. So you've got a range of outbound emails and templates, and you want to move them to the new world. Good news, there is an import template tool. So unlike the rest of the things I talked about today, there's no tool for it. But this one here, it's very easy. You connect it, using the tool, it connects into your outbound marketing. You tick, 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 I want these ones across. And it will bring across all the content blocks as well. So really, really powerful in terms of a day one. You have to go and update the compliance settings. Spoiler alert, the compliance settings for outbound is completely different than real time. One's called subscription centers, and one's called subscription lists, and one's called topics. One's called subscription centers, and one's called consent centers. So be aware that when you transition your email, you also want to transition to the new compliance and just unsubscribe preferences. But just note, you don't technically have to, but it's like everything else, you need to start moving that way. There are some really cool brand profile functions, so really, really, really useful, and that kind of removes the old content settings. Good news, we're going to go take a win when we get one. Same asset library. So if you've been building all your assets, you've loaded them all into your system, while you may have to rebuild the odd thing, you don't at least have to worry about re-uploading all your assets or dead links from an incorrect use of the asset URLs. So take the win. When it comes to segments, again, just like a few things, outbound segments was a completely different engine to real-time segments. So there is no migration strategy there. So you just have to rebuild your segments. The good news is you can still use outbound segments, like I can sit around some of the other stuff, but it is going to be gone eventually. So I recommend you rebuild it. No automation migration tool. But the good news, again, like to get a win on each one of these, is we can now do lead-based segments. So if you've never been able to do lead-based segments in outbound marketing, you have in real time, but not in outbound. Now, at least if you've only lived in your outbound world, you can now live in the lead. So that's another thing I might just mention. Outbound marketing is contact-driven marketing. So everything needed a contact in order to be marketed to, delivered communication, submit forms. Whereas that transition to real time now means finally we're back to that contact or lead can submit things. Subscription center, as I said, it's a redesign and rebuild, but on the plus side, it's a better solution. So subscription center will be gone, consent center is here. The cool thing with consent center, which I think is probably the biggest difference between the two, with subscription center, it was all about that person unsubscribing. So if you had two contacts with the same email address and one of those unsubscribed, you could technically still email that other one. The good news is we don't have to worry about that anymore. So it's really useful when it comes to these subscription centers. The other thing is it's forced as opposed to the previous one. So the previous one, you had to build your queries and your segments to include the subscription lists. Now with topics, it's far more integrated to make your life a lot easier. So keep that in mind. But it is, from what I have been playing with in terms of so far it seems like a very good alternative to other options out there in the market, as in it's comparable at this point, which is nice. This is a one that hurts me a little bit. So marketing forms is very different between the two environments. Outbound marketing, you had one form for contacts and leads. You could build custom fields, but you could also build fields that didn't exist in Dynamics as long as the option list existed in Dynamics. Well, moving forward, when you build a form in real-time marketing, you are either building a lead form or a contact form. So you have to decide up front who's going to be submitting this or what you want to happen off the back of it before you create the form. There's also no form capture. So for anyone who has a nice, rich website and you want to be integrating to that website because your web partner, you pay them a lot of money to make your website beautiful and you want to respect their design, unfortunately, real-time marketing, you cannot. But I have put the GA is supposed to be March 2024, so it is coming. A couple of things that hurt me in here. There's no more website tracking either in real-time marketing. But as I said, there it's public preview coming. There's no more marketing pages, so you can't just spin up a landing page in Dynamics real-time. It has to be a form. And there's no more redirect URLs, which also hurts a little bit because that was a really, really powerful feature. So this has probably got lost the most amount of features, but we would like to hope they're coming back. Especially if you use them, just make a bit of noise and they'll come back. And then for anyone who's actually got it, nice pretty picture to show two options become one. So if you go into your real-time marketing, you will only see one thing called forms. And you also won't see form fields because you no longer have to pre-create the field to use on a form. It now only supports fields that are on your lead. So the reason that's important is if your marketing team want to add a custom field for a specific form, unfortunately, you have to add it to Dynamics, making sure you push into there first, do your proper release cycle, through to test, through to prod. So it does mean that there's a little bit more planning needed from a marketing side for upcoming form needs. Whatever you do not create placeholder fields because that's horrible. So don't have a random field 1, 2, 3, just making sure you do it properly and also just make sure you push it through your right environments and don't just do it straight into prod. Customer journeys is another one. Unfortunately, complete rebuild.
There's a question from online.
Yes.
How do we make noise?
How do you make noise? It's a very good one. So there is a couple of options you can do. First of all, if you've got a partner, make some noise with a partner, right? We have, as partners, we have access to a different set of people, and some partners have higher up levels of people to talk to. You can let me know. I have communication with the product team from time to time, let them know things I am seeing based on my expert knowledge and the ClickD side of things, so just kind of helping them to sort of identify some of the things they could work on. And thirdly, there's an ideas area, and you can log an idea that your colleagues and other users can nominate and vote, and you can push that idea up the list to therefore get it quicker in the development cycle. Very good call. Partners are the easiest way. Partners don't like customers making noise, so if you've got a partner, make some noise to them because they'll take that and make sure that that noise stops, or at least gives you an update, which you may not like, but at least being that trusted advisor role, it's at least the accurate answer. So yeah, lean on your partners if you have one. Sorry, customer journeys. Rebuild again. This is a bit of a theme you're going to get through me. If you've used outbound journeys, you have to rebuild them. They're completely different engines. They completely have different configurations, different UX, different triggers. The cool plus side though is, again, always trying to find the positive, is we can now use Power Automate triggers and Power Automate functions inside real-time journeys, which I've always said it makes it almost infinitely scalable and infinitely extendable. It's just sometimes you need to do a bit more in the PA space or Power Automate space than you probably thought you should have or would have as a customer. So that's the other problem just in relation to using Power Automate triggers. They're not marketing friendly. And so that's, I guess, another tip for young players is Dynamics marketing is not necessarily being built with marketers in mind. It's being built with more marketing automation people in mind. So keep that in mind. You put this in front of a marketer, a lot of them will find some reasons they don't maybe necessarily like certain things about it. So the last thing I'll quickly just cover off. Top one's a big one and hurts again. So Dynamics marketing, customer insights data doesn't live in your database. So you can't just do advanced finds, you can't build views, you can't build filters in Dynamics to use the data. So Microsoft allowed us to connect into the Power BI, to the Azure Blob Storage, to then do some Power BI reporting. Unfortunately, you can't do that through real-time marketing. And the logic is it's being replaced by Fabric, and the word soon has been mentioned. So I've got a hyperlink there. Not sure how soon is. I know there's someone on the line who's very frustrated by that fact. And so the sooner we can get it, the better. The plus side is, though, when it does come with Fabric, it's supposed to come with custom-built dashboards as well. So hopefully that will make it a lot easier rather than having to find a Power BI specialist, spin up Blob Storage, pop that to Blob Storage, get your Power BI. We're hoping there's going to be a lot more in the space. The other thing we've lost, social posts. For anyone using the social posts, no function at all. Good news is there's plenty of ISVs that do it. And event management, just if you're using event management, transition away from your outbound forms being used on that. You're supposed to be able to use the real-time forms, still can't see it, but everything online says it is there. So I didn't want to put that as a negative. So if you can't see it, you're not alone. Maybe another hour and I would have found it, but I decided not to waste my time last night. So keep that in mind in relation to that one. And a nice, beautiful picture that there just shows event management is going from being segment-based to triggered-based. So before we get into Copilot AI, have we got any transitional questions? Anyone who's been using Dynamics marketing and has a question in relation to how the real-time will transition in the room or online? Special shout out to Benji at the back, who's operating as the question answer guy. So thank you. Cool. How are we doing for time? 20 minutes. Let's see how quickly I can talk. Are we going to
go longer if we need to?
I'll go a little bit longer. How about that? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Oh, totally. In terms of Copilot AI, it's a buzzword. I wanted to put it up here as high as possible because it is what is being sold as the really big benefit to real-time marketing and why you should transition. It's all in the space. So as I said, none of this investment is being done in outbound marketing. So spoiler alert, if you want Copilot or Smart AI, outside of just natural language queries, there's not a lot in outbound. But in real time, we already have 3 AI-driven components. So first of all, there's target right audience. So it's using Copilot and natural languages to be able to ask the system to generate you a segment or a list. So can you find me all customers that live in Auckland, but also have an office in Christchurch? And it will build your query up. As we saw a bit before, the session that we watched around the Copilot, you have to know how to talk to it. So it's trial and error. It gives you a few examples, try it, figure out the language it wants to hear. So it is natural language, but it's a set type of natural language. So don't get too frustrated if you type plain English in there and it just, I don't know what you're asking me. Just kind of simple it down into robot language. So it's robot natural language. Hopefully that makes sense. The other cool thing it does, which I love, is it generates content for you. So one of the big things a lot of time and effort spent is generating copy. I always like to joke I can't generate copy to save myself. That's why we have marketing experts. Well, now we can have Copilot. And unlike you having to ask Copilot something, this has been generated from the interweb, right? So it's using actual people's natural language to return the responses. So I find that the responses for that content is far better and it's actually 100% usable. Always recommend running your eyes over it. My favorite thing, I think people are starting to game AI because I went to AI and I asked it, can you list out some features for a given tool? And it started listing up all these upcoming features. So I went to the site and I said, sure enough, now they're now putting upcoming features on web pages so that AI trolls them, sees the word features and starts presenting upcoming features as actual features. So spoiler alert, I know what you guys are doing out there, but just keep that in mind when it comes to AI, and especially around the stuff, is validate it. Don't trust it without your sort of having a human review it. Sound tinfoil hat wearing? I promise I love AI.
We've got 2 questions. First, is Copilot built in or will it cost extra?
It's currently built in for the marketing components.
And the second one was, it seems like a lot of good functions that we've removed. What's the rationale for the rate of price? And what would your thoughts of return on investment be?
Cool. So maybe I'll get you not the best at holding 3 questions. So the raise in price one is a simple one. They've taken 2 products join them together and drop the price by 60%, give or take, right? So while it is an increased price for marketing, the net value is you're getting customer insights for free. And that is far cheaper than if you try to buy both of them. So for only marketing users, yes, there is a slight increase, but you really should be going down that, looking at what else you can do in that space. But the other part of that question was?
What's the rationale for raising price and what's the return of this? What's the return of this? I.e., how would you persuade a business owner to buy sales?
So that's a really good one. And the first thing I'd say is go to salespeople and tell them not to. Okay, so one thing that's really important here is Dynamics marketing only works if you have done a little bit of analysis up front to make sure it's fit for purpose. So what we expect is before making a decision, do what we call a fit gap analysis. Put what you actually want to do in a marketing tool on the left-hand side and put your tools on the top, along the top, and then just tick, 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 right? Don't go into this watching the Microsoft stuff and going, this is amazing, it's going to change our life. Because it is amazing and it will change your life. But for right now, it is a bit of a hard push. I can't justify why they're removing the tools other than if you think about XP and Vista, completely two different platforms. At some point, something has to be completely rebuilt. But you've got to make a decision at some point at when you go live with something before you've completely rebuilt it all. So, and I think Microsoft would also say, well, we haven't got rid of outbound marketing, right? So we haven't taken those features away. And I'd imagine by the time they took them away, the features will have been replaced. So keep that in mind as well. You can still use outbound marketing. It's just not going to get the love of advanced enhancements in the future. Was that just one question? Cool. And I put it here, but I struggled to see the, whoa, amazing. It does it, image recommendations based on the content. So most marketers I know have their body of assets, and this is not a lot of value to them, but for your business user who's maybe dabbling in marketing, this can be helpful. What is really cool is what's coming. And again, take it with a grain of salt for version 1. And I can't spell. So it will also do automatically rewrite content for you. So while the other one was generating content, this one now is smart enough to automatically rewrite it on your behalf. This next one I'm looking forward to, but also walk run. It will build your journeys for you. So it's quite cool. But again, you've got to learn how to speak the right natural language. I'll say with a lot of these features, it's all about using it to do the starter for 10. And then you come in as the human and take over. So like, for example, I'll often use the natural language segment thing just to be able to get my conditions, and then I can populate the variables and extend it. The same with content. I'll use the content to generate my base, and then I'll put my own personalization swag across it. This one's a surprising frustration around what they've taken away from us. The ability to choose when an email is delivered based on either a set time of day or a set of time frames. So for example, you're running a journey and the person naturally comes up for the event to trigger an email, and it's a Sunday at midnight. They'll get that email at Sunday at midnight. If they come up for the trigger and it's 2 p.m. on a Friday afternoon, they'll get it on 2 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. So good news is it's coming, bad news is it's not here yet. So just keep that in mind. And you can point your website at your form and have your form adjust like CSS to align to your website. So the example, I've got a screenshot I think a bit later on Contoso.com. So it's quite cool. All right. That is the theme, Contoso.com. So you literally, as you're building a form, nice and real basic form, you just go ahead and dump in the website. And I'll come to that question in 2 seconds. And this is the journey builder. So you're in essence talking to it about what you want. And at the end of it, it's going to generate your journey. So question online.
Yeah, so the question was, Copilot utilize custom fields? Question mark. So should we can Copilot?
Copilot can leverage custom fields. I don't know if it's available daily. Because the custom content right now doesn't need to leverage those custom fields. It's not a question I've had to answer because there's nothing yet that can leverage it. Oh, other than if we're talking about the AI natural language, yes, it can pick custom fields based on their name, but it has to be name match. It's not smart enough to get any other additional insights on it. Or as I'm looking at Benji when I'm answering that question, I should probably look at the camera. So I apologize to whoever asked that. So I might just get through this a little quick. This is sort of a halfway point, but not today. So what I'm going to do is, if I'm traveling a little bit quick, just put your hand up. I'm happy to slow down and answer any questions. And don't worry, I'm not going to really talk fast because that's scary. What I will just do is just get a bit of cadence going. So email features. I don't want to talk to you guys all about migrating off and talking about all that when you don't even know what it does. You might be a new person. You've got no idea what the hell's customer insights journey. What are you talking about? What's marketing? What am I missing? Well, if you don't know what you're missing. So great, welcome. One thing I will say is it's a great start if you're a small business that don't have a large marketing team. It is actually a really good product for you to do some basic stuff. Just the marketing rich features are fall over a little bit. So email marketing features, pretty self-explanatory. You can build a range of templates and content blocks. Content blocks are like templates, but as smaller sections within an email. Really, really cool. The other cool thing here is they've dumped a bunch of really cool templates on us. Personalization, pretty self-explanatory. You can just, pull any detail from any field related to the contact or lead and dynamics. So, you can start pulling in, you can start putting grids in, you can do contextual sections. So, my favorite ones that I built was for a car dealership, where based on your car being due for a service, if you had a Polo, well, the banner was the latest Polo, right? Because it's amazing that encouragement of, 3 years in, about to buy a new car, the Polo looks nice. So that is all done through conditional logic and is really powerful. Same with City, we're running this big event. Well, if we're doing an invite, we know people are based in Auckland, Wellington, and Christchurch. Then all of a sudden, the main blocks, Christchurch with all the details. Oh, and you've got these other ones as well. And then every person just gets a very nice personalized version of it. Same with segmentation. It's quite cool. As I said, AI generated content. It's cool. Most marketing teams, if they're true marketing teams, don't necessarily want this right now, but it's a nice to have for those smaller organizations. As I said, great preference into brand profiling and compliance profiling is really cool because it allows you to have 10 emails all with the same hyperlink in terms of the social pages, but then based on whatever brand, everything will change. So you can, if you're a business with multiple business units and you want a brand completely different by email, but you don't want to have to build 3 versions of the same email, that's what brand profiles are, and it's really cool. And there's that word again, WYSIWYG. So this is what I want to these 4 things, worst case scenario, I'll just cover these because this is, I think, what's going to get most value about sort of our experience, right? So view and cool features. As I said, Copilot content ideas, color palette, love it, finally. So, you can load in your colors and you don't have to worry about using your hex keys everywhere you're going. Inline personalization, I mentioned that sort of city-based, it's quite cool. CC recipient, mind-blowing, that's fine to hear, it's awesome. What that allows you to do is when you're sending an outbound email through a journey, you can CC account managers, you can CC other related people at the business. So you can build now through your journey, CC recipients that pull from your data. So, you could be mailing all your accounts, but you want to CC the specific account manager for each of those. You can just pass it either the set email address or a variable, and it'll pull that variable from the records. Send now is a cool thing. You can now send now, spoiler alert, Microsoft just behind the scenes to do it manually. They quickly run off and build your journey and they quickly put the email for you and they put the segment link in and they come back and go, we're ready. So it's cool, but it's also very simple. And there's some really cool scoring. Upcoming enhancements, this one kills me. View, email and browser, outbound has it, real-time doesn't. Don't know why. A/B testing, again, don't know why. Spoiler alert, the limitations. No open in browser, no A/B testing. Limited options. So if you want to use tools like ClickD, you had a lot of options for sending now. Your account managers could send things without having to go into marketing. That's all gone without a lot of configuration by one of your partners, right? So you could build a field and you could do it, but there's nothing out of the box. You don't have access to interaction data, so you can't create a view for your salesperson that shows all, what's a good example? So like all people that have clicked on a specific link on an email, relatively simple request. I just want to see everyone that's clicked my product link, and I want the product owner to be able to manage those through a view in CRM. You just can't do it. Everything in Dynamics, marketing, and customer insights is a separate data set. And as I mentioned before, limited reporting. Good news is segmentation. I got no pain point.
Sorry, one more question.
Online. Yes.
Is send now equivalent to click dimensions, please?
No, send now, you still have to be a marketing user. You have to open up the marketing email, and it means that now when you're on the template, you don't have to go build a journey and put the email on the journey. You still have to be on the email template. You then just hit send now, and then you have to manually specify who you want to send it to or lists. Yeah. Good question. I think I'm going to skip over segmentation. I'm conscious of time. Like, as I said, spoiler alert, segmentation, right? The ability to group. The cool thing is, while I mentioned our sales teams can't see the Dynamics data and you can't sort of create cool views for them, we can technically create segments. And then we can create a view based on a segment. It just not the best, and it's a bit of extra legwork. But just keep that in mind, segments can at least access all the interaction data. So you can build segments for find me anyone who's opened an email and clicked X number of links. And yeah, it's very easy to build segments using all that data. It's just sales team can't. So apologize for shooting quick past segments, but I'm sure no one's losing any sleep over that one. Customer journeys. So what do we got here? So in terms of customer journeys, it's pretty cool. It has some serious limitations we'll cover next, though. It does templating and repeatable processes. It does some cool goal-based, so you can do things like, I want 20% of people to respond, and it'll start tracking how effective your campaigns are relevant to that. As I said before, the coolest thing about real-time journeys is you can use Power Automate triggers. What that means to me is like anything Microsoft can't do, will do for you, right? It's the same as if you use ClickD using workflows in your journeys. It's the same. It's just, oh no, Microsoft can't do it. Talk to anyone in the room who knows PowerApps can do it, right? Sorry, Power Automate. Multi-channel, so it's quite cool. It does do AI-driven multi-channel. So you can do push app notifications, texts, and emails. And you can specify in a journey, I want this to go to the most appropriate channel for that person. It's cool. It's a bit magical how it works. You don't get a lot of exposure to how exactly it works, but it is a cool function. And then there's built-in insights, but again, a bit limiting. As I always say, anytime it's customer journey, start on a whiteboard or a piece of paper or a Miro board, map out what you want to do, and then go to the tool. It's just always easier. Probably the biggest trick and tip is always think about the negative route. I've seen too many organizations that go, send email, wait 3 days, send email, wait 3 days. It's like, well, what if they don't open it? What if they do click on it? What if they do open it? Like, you have to always think when you're building a journey is what else, what if, and build it into it. However, that segues behind to some limitations. So, I'll show you elements in a second. You can do a lot more elements. The color palette, I appear to have copied and pasted something in an error here. But what I haven't copied and pasted is the limitations, because I want those to be really, really caught out here. So the cool new features I've already somewhat covered. The upcoming enhancements are important for us to know. We're finally bringing in web tracking soon. We're going to have journey splitting, so you can split a journey out midway. And as I said, we're about to have this thing called quiet times, which allows you to set business hours that you do want communications to go out. It's actually the opposite. You set the times you don't want emails to go out. And then time sends is AI-driven ability to send at 3 p.m. on a Monday, always irrespective of when they triggered that event. But the really thing I want to call out some limitations, because a lot of people see the tool, see the lovely picture, like this is great, but when you actually get into it, it's a single point of entry. So what we found is we're building a lot of multiple customer journeys to deliver one process. So you invite people to an event, and now they're registered. Well, if you want, you have to build those two journeys, because the point of the person registering from just naturally finding your website and registering will not be in that journey because they never got sent an email. So you can't then start them as part of the second half of the journey. You have to build them as completely two different journeys. So it's a real huge limitation. No swim lanes, meaning no concurrent building. So you can't have one journey for Australia, Auckland, so mixing up the variables and have 3 completely different journeys in one, all have to be built separately. The one that hurts me, there's no controlling email times. I don't know why. It just, talk to anyone about building a journey. The first thing is like, oh, I want that to go at 10 a.m. on a Monday, irrespective of it. Can't do it right now. You can through PA. by triggering a PA to then trigger another journey off the output of that PA. But again, it feels a bit convoluted. Super limited reporting, and web tracking. So for anyone who's on the call that's like, Michael, it's bang on time, I have to go. This is being recorded, and I think, I don't know who's next, but I'm not going to take, yep, okay. Well, I'll only take 5 to 10 tops, I promise. Cool. We can share the overrun. So I just wanted to show some of the features. It's relatively simple. That's kind of what I want to show this, but there is some really cool stuff that's finally come. Some really cool stuff. We can now hold actions. This one here is really cool. We can now send a series of messages inside it. We can now create leads. We can create opportunities. All this stuff didn't exist a year ago. So it is getting there if you can deal with those limitations. And I also don't want to be all doom and gloom. Like, you may be like, no, I just want to send a real basic journey. Those limitations don't hurt me. Go down this product because it will get better as time goes on, and there's no better time to start if you're in that position. If you're not in that position, do that fit gap analysis before you make the decision. Make sure you're happy with it. Also, spin up a trial. Have a play. Like, you can just go to Microsoft, go to Google, type in marketing custom insights journey demo, and sure enough, there's a Microsoft link. Click it, download the trial. Install the trial. You're way laughing. So it's quite cool. Play with it before you pick it. And this is that new feature. Let me just see if my button works. Well, yeah, I can do this cool thing. So this thing here allows you to run a series until a set event happens. So what it says there, it says loan application submitted. So it's going to keep running these steps until a loan application is submitted, and then it's going to move on. That's real fresh, and that's something we've been really excited for. So that's getting towards that point, as I said, of being a really good tool. And then I showed you that before, AI generated ones. Marketing forms is, once we get it, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's just some serious limitations. So I don't want to spend too much time there. I want to just focus a bit around here. So it is quick and easy to use. It is quite cool. But the limitations, you have to build lead and contact specific forms, as I said before. Fields, this is the big one. They have to be on the lead or the contact. And you talk to any marketers, it's very frustrating. There's one exception to that. The one exception to that is if you're running an event, you can use event-based forms. And event-based forms allow you to add custom questions. So what are your data requirements, all that sort of stuff. If you're using a non-Microsoft form, but a non-marketing form in the place of the event form, you can do it. So if events allow you to either pick an existing form or build a new form in the eventing tool. And unfortunately, if you pick an existing tool because you want to make it nice and pretty and get an existing form, there are just a couple of those limitations that you just need to be conscious of. And another big one is there's no skip logic or conditional logic. Here's your form. Oh, no, if they pick this, change, no, here's your form. I want multiple pages, here's your form. The good news is it does allow HTML. So if you like coding, and we got the deal for you. That's another message. If you like coding, you can always just resort to HTML. My email editor doesn't have that, HTML. My form editor doesn't have that, HTML. So when in doubt, HTML. Duplicate there. Just want to show the components. They're not overly exciting. The cool thing is that it does integrate to the marketing stack. So you can pull in voice the customer survey links. You can do add to calendar or alert. If you're doing a series of events, you want to do add to calendar on the session, not the event, because it sends a calendar, not an ICS file, if there is more than one. So you end up with a bunch of calendars on, and no end user wants to install the calendar to be able to see when your event is. So keep that in mind if you're running multiple sessions. And a couple of useful tables. If you're using real-time marketing, you'll find this table on learn.com. The main things you'll see is there's no external form submissions. There's no refer to a friend. Outbound still has all this great functionality. So you can form to a friend, you can pre-fill, you can embed it, you can do the works. Really, really simple. So if you're wanting forms, maybe don't rush off outbound forms quite yet. Look at that. I'm even mentally prepared for you guys to be ready to be over. So last 2 items, here we go. Learn. I can't scream this enough. I always get customers going, how do I do this? Why don't I have this? What's the training? Learn. This website is amazing. Nearly any time I want to find out something, I just go here first. Like, all that transitional information. There's full transitional guides. Everything I've talked about today about how do I get off emails on, there's full guides in learn.com. All this information is available. So before you go and ChatGPT or Google, although ChatGPT does look at Learn, go to Learn, because that was the ChatGPT AI thing that found the features that were upcoming features and tried to present them as actual features, right? So when in doubt, click on the ChatGPT link, takes you to the Learn article, which most of the information is provided from, and you can read the actual detail. So learn. When in doubt, learn. And I thought there was one more. So clearly not two more things. Look at that. I've given you a win. Look at that. Take one. Right, Sam. Any questions? We got a question online. All right.
There's one that's kind of two parts.
Yep.
So will contact form be embedded on the plans?
They can be embedded. They can't be used as form captures. So what that means is, for anyone that doesn't know, you can take the JavaScript code and take it across to your website and embed the code, and the Microsoft form will appear, and it'll leverage your website's CSS to change its look and feel. That's embedding. Form capture is you don't actually have to touch the website at all, other than putting a redirect little codec in it. You point in the existing website with that form, and the capture of the output of that appears in Dynamics. You don't have to build the form in Dynamics, but you do get the output.
The second half of that was map to CRM features being discontinued.
So what was that?
The map to CRM features being discontinued.
Yeah, Mac.
Map.
I can't hear to save myself. Can I get can you translate that question to someone close? Do you want to try it one more time, Benji?
Mapped.
Yeah.
Same as the thing.
Oh, Matt. I don't, that's a really good question, and I'm not prepared to answer it because I couldn't find it. And so you used to be able to map opportunities and all your actual Dynamics entities to marketing for better segmentation, for better filtering. And there used to be a section you'd go to that says data mapping, and you'd go in, you'd tick all your Dynamics entities, you'd hit save, and hey presto, you can now leverage them. That is not there in Customer Insights. So I did do the research, but I'm hoping it's just a case they no longer have to do that and it's out of the box. That's me maybe being wishful thinking, but I'm glad someone asked that, because it was one of those things. It's almost like I put that person there because it was one of those things I didn't want to talk to, but I didn't know how to talk to it because I didn't know the actual answer. So there we are, you got the Michael blurb.
Thank you.
Cool. How do we start?
Just so that there's 27 people online.
Awesome.
Just so you know, it's not
Awesome.
just people in the room. So there's a few. It's definitely hybrid. So
Cool.
we significantly overcated at lunchtime.
Awesome. To those people online, what I will say is feel free to ask me questions, right? I love what I do, and I love marketing, right? And I always like to say to my customers, I'm always going to tell you the truth. Like a lot of what I've told you, you're not going to find in Microsoft articles, right? You're going to find it because I've worked with customers who have it. So I like questions because now I know the answer to the question, and if I don't know it straight away, I'll go find it. And the next time someone asks that question, I'm already there. So the more questions I get asked, the more knowledgeable I feel and sound. So yeah, please, if you've got questions about this sort of stuff, just ping me. I'm always keen to have a chat.
One more question
Yes.
after now that you said that.
Yep.
My customer security role seems to revert every 48 hours to their parent. I was trying to separate business units.
Yeah, so I'll park that question to my thing because that is a Dynamics and marketing related question, customer insights related question. So feel free to ping that to me. The short answer is it's how parent-child security roles work. So if you're not changing in the right place, it will overwrite it. But yeah, we can have a chat. Cool. And look at that, 2 minutes. It only took 7 extra minutes.
You're good, and way more upbeat than the is my 4 samples.
4 samples that keep going. Yeah, correct. And apologise for I would like to special thank you for those people that may have just come for the session or like coming for these sessions today and maybe didn't jump on the keynote. I felt your frustrations, and I'm sorry for that 15-minute wait. But we got there in the end, and I managed to weirdly deliver in 15 minutes quicker when I was worried about going over. So we'll take it when we are. Thanks.